Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to the Mary D Talk Show. For those of you that have never been here, welcome to the Mary D Talk Show. My name is Mary D Welch, and I just want to just tell you I'm glad to see you here. I know um, this day, what do I say every single Monday? It is a beautiful Monday, and it is another beautiful Monday. So thank you for being here. I know I want to share with you before everybody knows I get going. First, let me thank Oliver Welch. Oliver is the executive producer of the show. Thank you, babe. He's in the background. You guys saw him Christmas Day. He was at that time we were in Atlanta and Bradley came on the show and Isaiah came on the show. So you got to see some of the immediate family. But I also want to thank our live viewers, those of you that are watching live, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi, you guys. Those of you that are watching the replay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi, you guys. Because you know what? Even if you're watching the replay, those of you that have gone to YouTube and you subscribe, I don't even have the words to tell you how important that is. You when you subscribe, then YouTube looks at that and they want to know, well, how many people are subscribing to a show? How many people are watching the show? If that's the case, then they show it to more people. That's just the reality of it. I know today's topic is not exactly the hot topic of the day. And some of you may just be out doing what the topic said today, which is talking about voting. This is not, you know, what can I say? It's so important, but I'm going to get into that. Before I do, I want to share with you what's coming. I remember, I think I talked with you about the new book coming. And this is the cover. When I was on the moon, I don't know if you guys can see that. There you go. That's the title of the new book coming, which is so interesting. I wrote this book and I had no idea we were doing now we're doing SpaceX and what is the other one? I forget what the other Blue Planet or I can't remember. But anyway, this is a big topic now about going to the moon. But I've never seen an African American woman go to the moon ever. And that was it's so interesting. That was what I was writing about, but just so happens that they're talking about it now. So I just want to show that to you so you can see the new cover. It will be coming out soon. I'm still working with the illustrator, so that book will be coming soon. Also, put it right here. It's not even behind me. This is the book from. I always say this. This is my one of my youngest authors. She's 91 now. She turned 91 on February 4th. This is her book. I love showing Dr. Henry's book because she was writing the book for 15 years and it is now a book. She hired our company to publish it, and this is history. This is living history. So I'm very proud of her book. And this is her book. You can get it on Amazon right now, and I would encourage you to get your copy. So this is the, even though I would say, you could say the oldest author, to me, one of the best. At 90 years old, she had been writing the book for 15 years. So think about how long she had been writing it, ladies and gentlemen, and then she still entrusted us with it. So here's her book, and it is right there on Amazon, and it's From the Ashes I Rise. If you don't know if you can see the title, hold on, let me see if you can, because I am seeing if any messages came through. There we go. There, that might be better. From the Ashes I Rise. There we go. I think you can see it better. Okay, so I want you to be able to see that. Okay, I wanted to show you hers, and this book, which to this day is the number one selling book I've had of all the books I've written, and that's this one. Say No Nicely. This you can read this book in 30 minutes or less. 38 pages, packed full of ways to say no without hurting people's feelings, but you get to set boundaries. It is the things, and I just this weekend I was at a women's conference, and a lady there was she said the only thing she said I saw you're saying no nicely. She said, but I'm gonna tell you what really got my attention: setting boundaries. She said I don't know how to do that, and that's why she got the book. So I would encourage you if either of those things you feel like you need just more help with those things, then you might want to get that book. And the other books, as those of you know, you can go to Amazon, put in marydwelch.com, and the page will come up with, right now, I believe it's 6 children's books on there. Um, from There's a Rocket in My Pocket, Stuck in the Elevator, Have You Seen the Red Elephant, Bradley Lost a Tooth, Peyton the Pink Whale with the Yellow Tail, and who am I missing? Bradley? And no, I'm sorry, Justin Lost a Tooth, not Bradley Lost a Tooth, Justin Lost a Tooth, and Bradley Can't Find His Pants. Those are the 6 that are there and available right there. I mean, as far as available to you, those would be the 6. So now, why on a day before in the primaries, I said primaries in here in California, we are we've already voted. Number one, my husband and we've already voted. But the question is, why do we vote? And then what I put on there, not voting is voting. As you can see the picture that I have put on the screen, I really wanted to, I say take home or remind you. I vote, let me tell you, I'll go back to my history. I vote because I know for a fact people died so I could. They gave their life so that another generation could vote. That's huge. So because of that, I make a point every single election. My husband and I too, we were doing it before we ever got married, but we still do. We go out of our way. We go out of our way to vote. We do. We make sure that's one thing we're going to do. Now, we don't always do it together. For instance, we don't always go to the polls together, but we both always vote. Always on the election. And I know that we always vote because people that are running for office, they make a point to come to our house. And I said, you know why? Because they know we're voters. They know we're voters. They can see on the voting, there's a, I guess you call it log or something. I don't know what they call it. The voter registration, we are voters. We vote. And they know that in this household, they have 2 votes that they can pretty much depend on. So they stop by. That's what I would say. When people are running for office, they make a point of coming to our home. So they don't take our votes for granted because they know, they know there's 2 adults here voting, but they want to make sure that we're voting for who we want to see in that office or that seat or whatever the case may be. So that's why we vote. My parents were from the South, and many of you may or may not know, voting, there's so many ways to keep people from voting until and I don't want to say it's just the South because that's not true, but there are different mechanisms, I would say, in place. I've actually had people have conversations with me and say, well, my vote doesn't count. It doesn't matter if I vote or not. Who cares if I vote? I've heard it all. Because many of I was a history teacher, and so kids would even tell me that their parents said these things. And when I actually stress to them that, number one, their vote does count. It does count. Don't ever think it doesn't. It always counts. And if it didn't count, why would politicians want your vote so much if it didn't count? So it counts. Many people may or may not know, here in the United States, after the American Revolution, not after Civil War, after the American Revolution, so we're talking 1700s, there was a vote to determine. This is how mad we were with the British. The vote was to determine what would be the official language for the 13 colonies. What was the language going to be? It was between English and German. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. They had to choose. Is our language going to be English or is it going to be German? That should also tell you how strong the German population was here in the U.S. because of the fact that they had these 2 languages. We had to choose which one we were going to make the official language of the colonies. it came down to one vote. Think about this. If the vote had gone the other way, we would be speaking German. We'd be speaking German as official language because that's how mad our country was with the British. But even when I think about that, I don't even know how they could be that bad with the British when many of them were from England, or from Europe. They were definitely from Europe, European. But the point being, it came down to one vote. That one vote determined what the language would be for the 13 colonies, which is spread to more than that. But the point is to it could have been German very easily if it wasn't for that one vote. So what if that person had stayed home and they didn't vote? So if they said, remember I said not voting is voting. Not voting is voting. I know people don't think it is, but it is. When you decide to not vote, what you're really saying, you're saying you don't care. We already know that. But you're really also saying majority wins. Whoever the majority, let them win. But when as we have seen in presidential elections, the majority does not always win because we have what's known as the Electoral College. So that's different. I think they're talking about trying to get rid of it. I don't know. I haven't kept up with that, so I don't like to speak on things I don't know for sure. But the Electoral College, which is based on the numbers of electors in that state. Now, that means popular vote is the number of actual votes cast. I don't know if we got that. Popular vote is the numbers of actual votes cast. Electoral college is the number of votes of the representatives in that state. So, for instance, in California, I don't know what we have now because they've drawn different lines and things like that. I don't know the numbers, but it was around, I say around 58. I don't know what it is, so don't quote me on that. So whoever is called a winner takes all. If you win the state of California, then you win those electoral votes. That's how it works. Now, will that be the way it always is? I have no idea. I just know that's the way it is now. So who knows what the future is going to bring? I couldn't tell you that, but I wanted to just talk about voting because tomorrow is the day you have to have your votes in. I'm speaking for California. You could be anywhere in the country, but in California, you have to have it by tomorrow, which is the 5th, and so that's really important. And I put not voting is voting. And let me also add too, if you haven't already subscribed on YouTube, please do so. You can go to YouTube and subscribe. Hi, Nanette. Good to see you. Nanette says, hi, Mary and Oliver. As she said, could barely see the title From the Ashes I Rise until you moved it around. Oh, okay. Okay. I know, huh? That's why I moved it because I was a little far back. Let me do that a little again for you, Nanette. Is this better? There we go. There you go. And I got your message, Nanette. I don't know if you got the return on that. I got your email. So those of you that want to send me an email, it's mary@marydwelch.com. And you also voted too? Yep. Nanette, I'm going to tell you, I've heard people say they don't care. I've heard people even say they don't care who gets in. I've heard them say that. I've witnessed this, so I'm not just talking about something someone's told me. I know this to be true. I have witnessed programs. There were excellent programs for the community. It was doing well, helping people get jobs, helping people get on their feet, helping do a lot of things, to be honest with you. And they disappeared. The funding disappeared. So here it is, a program that's working for the community. It's almost like, no, we don't want that. We want something that's we don't want something that's working. It doesn't make sense. And it disappeared just because a different political party was in office. Think about that. That's how somebody, and I've heard people say, oh, it doesn't matter what they do in Washington. I've heard them say that too, but it does matter what they do in Washington. It does matter. All of these things matter, and you can't take them for granted. You cannot take them for granted because they can disappear overnight. Things happen. I mean, it may seem like, oh, this is here to stay. But I've been alive long enough to have seen so many changes in this world. In this, I say United States, because this is where I live. Now, what's happening worldwide, I probably don't pay as much attention to as maybe I should. But I try to keep on. My goal is every day I try to watch 30 minutes of the news. 30 minutes. You may say, well, that's short. That may be, and then I tried, well, it's longer than 30 minutes because I try to watch like 30 minutes local and probably 30 minutes national. So I know what's going on, worldwide. But I definitely try to watch 30 minutes local news. And I used to, and then another thing I try to watch is 60 Minutes. I had gotten away from 60 Minutes for a while. Now I'm back into watching 60 Minutes again because I'm trying to understand things, and I guess I trust the reporters on those things, and I feel like the information has been vetted. But I'm sure they make mistakes too. They don't always get it all right. I'm pretty positive of that. But like anything else, I think they're trying to get it right. That's what I see is they're trying to give you good information. So that's why I try to really stay on top of those kind of things. And even then, I probably need to pay more attention, even though I'll be honest, I don't watch news 24/7. I never have, and I'm too busy to watch it that much. But I do try to put in that, I say 30 minutes, an hour at the most. And then I have my phone set up so I can get the new, you get the headlines really quick and you try to grab some news here and there. But I try to pay attention, and anything regarding voting or voter suppression, I really, really try and watch. So what I have now is I wanted to just show you this picture, and this is voting. I actually had one of these in my classroom at one time. I had one in the classroom. I don't even know what happened to that voter, but I had it set up in the corner, and I had students vote on different things in the classroom. And I would have they have to take their sheet and go back to the booth, and their name would be on the register. So I treated it like they were actually learning how to vote. I literally was training them on how to vote. And they come back, they're like, that wasn't hard. I'm like, no, it isn't. But you've got to do it. Nobody can do it for you. You have to do it. And I do want to talk to, if you know someone who's disabled, or if they are sight impaired, there's ways to vote for everyone now. There is no limitations. As I mentioned before, I live in California. I cannot speak for any other state because it's the one I live in and the one I'm pretty focused on. But I would think that you can go anywhere, and there's got to be, if you are in any way impaired, either by sight, if you are in a wheelchair, any of those things, that there's ways for you to still vote. There has to be. There's ways for you to still vote. So if you haven't, you would contact the Register of Voters, and they would tell you this is what you need to do, and they'll give you a ballot in Braille. All this it's already done. Nothing. I mean, they understand you can vote. Period. There's no limit to that. You do have to be registered to vote. But if I remember correctly, I think in California, you can actually register at the poll. If I remember, there's a deadline. Don't quote me on this. I would say don't quote me. Call the Register of Voters for your county. For your county. I live in Riverside County, so I will be calling the Register of Voters for Riverside County. Whatever county you live in, call that county and find out. Someone will tell you what you need to do, because we're getting ready to vote in the next few months on a presidential election. You don't want to be left out because you are not registered. Another thing I want to really stress, and some of you know this and some of you may not, if you were convicted of a felony at any time in your life, as long as you're not under parole or probation, you're eligible to vote. Let me say this again. If you were convicted of a felony and you are not on parole and you are not on probation, you're eligible to vote. Now, for somebody in here, what I said may not mean anything, but there's others in here, this could mean the world. And I'm going to give you guys my story on this because it's, I witnessed it. I was a registrar. At one time, I registered people to vote. So I went around. I actually went door to door. I don't know if I would do it now, but but I did it then. It was about, oh my goodness, I'm gonna say 7, maybe not quite 10 years, 7, 8 years ago. I would say at the most 8 years ago, and I was going door to door registering voters. And at a man, I saw a gentleman. He was getting out of his truck, and I just went over to him. You know, you never know how people gonna perceive you. And I said, "Sir, are you registered to voter? Are you registered to vote?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Are you a U.S. citizen?" He said, "Yes." Did he say yes? No, I'm wrong. He didn't say anything. I said, "Are you registered to vote?" He shook his head, no. I said, "Are you he shook his head, yes." So I thought he didn't speak English. I mean, I saw he understood me. I said, "Do you speak English?" That was another question I asked him. And he said, yes. Then he started talking after that. And then I said, I thought about it for a minute. And I said, I just leaned really, not close to him, but leaned in. And I said, "Sir, do you have a felony?" I just asked it was nobody around us, but nobody wants people to hear their business like that. And then he started nodding again. He said, like, yes. I said, are you under probation or parole? He said, no. I said, "Sir, you can vote." I don't even know how to explain that day. It looked literally, it's like the sky opened up. That man, then he really started talking. He said, "Oh my God." He literally, it was like I had given him a gift in that, just because I said that. And he goes, "What? I can vote?" I said, "Yes, sir, you can." And then he started telling me. He said, "I know all about the candidates. I know all about the propositions." He has studied everything. He knew everything, but he thought he couldn't vote. So what he had done is just got I really realized he was getting himself ready. If the day ever came, he could vote. He was ready. He was ready. He was so excited. He put the bag down. That man was he was like doing a dance in the street. I said, "Oh my God." It was so, what can I say? It was just to see someone receive this gift he didn't even know he had. He didn't know. I found out later after two of us talked. He had been off parole for 15 years. 15 years. But nobody ever told him he could vote. Nobody. He just didn't know. And I sit there and I was like, wow. Of all the registrations I have done, that one I will never, ever, ever forget. To give them a right they already had. Think about it. He had it, but if you don't know you have it, you don't have it. It's what it comes down to. If you don't know you have it, you really don't have it. It's what it is. Let's just be honest. But to see him, literally, I mean, he put the bag. I tell you, when he put the bag down and he's just jumping around, I was sitting there going, "Wow!" I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. To vote, and I think what has happened is a lot of people take that right for granted. They take it for granted because, like, oh, this, or this was I've heard too. My grandparents didn't vote, and then my mom didn't vote, so I don't vote. I've heard that, which is a generation of non-voters. Unfortunately, generations of it. And what has happened is too bad, but I can almost guarantee the reason that the first person did not vote is because they did not read. And so what they did, they demonized voting instead of learning to read. And I don't know this to be true, but I can speak for my family. My father was illiterate, which I didn't even know until I was an adult. I look back to how he functioned in society. I'm just like, wow. He had ways to do it, and did not read. He learned how to read when he was about 60 years old. He learned to read. And learning to read. But he never told us not to vote. I'm so interested. He was a very big proponent to vote. He told us to vote. Think about that. Even though he couldn't vote. I shouldn't say he couldn't vote. He could vote. But he really, he didn't know how to read well. So he didn't want to, mark the wrong person, that kind of thing. But he always encouraged us to vote. So I would tell you, ladies and gentlemen, to not vote. Like, as I mentioned before, the family of non-voters, that person said, they told me they weren't going to vote. After I talked to them and really told them the stories about voting and how people have died to vote, they said they never knew all that. They were just like, the family didn't vote. They didn't vote. That's it. They didn't know that people had given their lives. And they told me they're going to break that. It stops with them and they're going to start voting. But it took probably an hour easily of talking to them to convince them that it was good to vote. It's good to cast your vote. Now, I would be the first one to admit every vote I cast, that person or the proposition or whatever it is I vote, they don't always win. But they do sometimes. They do. So I don't want to give the wrong impression. Oh, yeah, if I voted for them, they're going to win. No, that's not even true. But I still cast my vote. The right that I've been given, I honor that right by voting. When you don't vote, what you're doing is, in my opinion, you're dishonoring the people that lost their lives so you could vote. That's really what you're doing. You're dishonoring them. So I'm going to take you through a couple of these slides, and let me see if there's any comments in the comment section. And okay, Nanette, you just like we did. We already voted too. We voted. I think in fact, the text just came in my phone this morning that your vote is in, and I love that. Whoever came up with that idea to verify that your vote is in, I love it. So, but I'm going to take you through some slides. So let me see if I can. Here is from Carnegie. Now I think you guys can see them. If you can see them, please put a yes in the. Okay. This is. Hold on. Let me go there. Okay. Jerlene Peterson says voting is the only freedom we have. Go ahead, Jerlene. Please vote, everybody, because your vote matters. Thank you. There's Jerlene's comment. Thank you. Is it Geraldine? I hope I said it right. Geraldine. As I said before, people they gave their life. Think about this. As they say, the ultimate sacrifice. So that voting, so we can vote. I have two things that have come against me to vote. One, as a woman, me, as you know, women received the right to vote in, I believe, 1929. I could be off. I can't remember the exact date, but it was 1900s. Do you know the black men received the right to vote in the 1800s? Did everybody know that? The black man received the right to vote in the 1800s. The white woman received the right to vote 50 years after the black man received the right to vote. That's under women's suffrage. So here we are. I know I had this conversation. This was a few years ago. I was actually in an office, and this gentleman walks in. I'll say he walked in and he says, "I'm voting for Barack Obama." It just happened to be three of us in the office. And he walks in, he goes, "I'm voting for Barack Obama." This is when Barack Obama was running against Hillary Clinton for president. And the lady in the office said, she actually got up from her desk and she goes, "What do you mean you're going for Barack Obama? You said you were going for Hillary Clinton." And he said, "I just left the LA office, not LA office." He said, "I just left the headquarters for Barack Obama, and what I saw was a machine." He said, "And I am voting for Barack Obama." I was sitting there, and this is a Caucasian man, and she's a Caucasian woman, so I'm the only African American in the mix here. And she got quiet. She said, she got not quiet. She got upset because she said, "Why would you vote for someone who has," this is what she said, He doesn't have any presidential qualifications. He doesn't have any experience. At least she has worked right alongside her husband in the Oval Office. This is all said in this short conversation with the three of us. And I thought it was so interesting that it would happen. And he said he doesn't need, I was like surprised when he said that. He said that's experience is not a qualification to be president. And which it isn't. Think about that. That's not a qualification. But right then and there, he said the qualifications. I didn't even know he knew them, but he said, all you have to be is 35, be born on U.S. soil, and be in the United States for 14 consecutive years. That's it. You don't have to graduate from high school. You don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to have any, that's not the qualifications. And then you have to have, now you forgot this part, but you do have to have so many signatures, I believe. I forget how many it is. I don't know that part, so I don't want to give you the wrong information. But so many people have to sign a petition. I don't know. It's in the thousands, but I don't know. It's so many registered voters. Let me say that. I don't even know what the number is, so I don't want to give you the wrong answer to that. But anyway, but let me say it again. To be president of the United States, these are the only qualifications. 35 years and older, born on U.S. soil. Think about it. And the third one is live in the United States for 14 consecutive years. That's it. There's no other qualifications. The signing the, I don't know if, I don't want to say it's a petition, but anyway, I just know they have to have so many signatures of registered voters. And I'm sure now there's a fee involved or whatever it is. I don't know that part, but I'm just saying in order to run first, before you have to have this done, and then you can move on to the next step. So to have done all that, so when he said this, that's what was so interesting. I didn't even say it. I knew it, but I didn't say anything. But what I did say when the conversation, when she kind of cooled down, because that lady was not happy with that. And I said, I'm going to interject something, and I just want the two of you to know this. And so they got quiet because I hadn't really said anything. I said, in this country, we would rather have a man as a leader than have a woman. This is, and let me tell you how I know. Because she's like, what do you mean by that? And I said, we gave the right to vote in this country to the Black man 50 years before we gave it to a white woman. The woman turned beet red. I said, now I told him even then, I said, you can get mad with me. I'm just quoting history to you. And if you don't believe me, look it up. Look it up. 50. That's a lifetime before, I mean, especially in the 1800s. If you live to be 50, it's a miracle. But 50 years before a woman could vote. Forget about a Black woman. We were not even in the mix. Let's just be honest on that. This was said, so this country said if a man could vote, and a Black man could vote before 50 years before they gave, because women had to fight for the right to vote. The Black man really didn't have to fight that hard for the right to vote. It was after the Civil War when he had the right to vote. And I say all this because if you know these things and when you're looking at what's going on, we have just look at the history. Just look back at our history. And what happens? Not only did we elect Obama once, we elected him twice. Think about that. But we like seeing men in office. It's just, I don't know why, leader of this country. I do hope it changes. I don't know. I understand Nikki Haley is running right now under the Republican ticket. I can't say one way or the other, but I will say that this is what history has proven. Even if you really think about it, think of what I'm saying. Even when Hillary Clinton, who received, for the Democrats, she was the front runner, everything to run against Trump. The country still went for Donald Trump. I'm just saying. Well, I know the popular vote didn't. I know that, but under the electoral college votes, then that's when he won. So, and then Nanette said, women's right to vote. Yeah, Like I said, I'm under two, because being a Black female, I would be under the women's suffrage because I did not get the right to vote as like the men did. I didn't. That's just the facts. And if you look it up, oh, thank you, Nanette. She said August 18th of 1920. That's when the right to vote for women? Is that when it was? I thought it was 30 something. Okay, okay. Thank you. I'm gonna go along with that. If you looked it up, I'm gonna go with them. But that, oh, you know what? I think I'm thinking of the stock market. I bet that's what I'm thinking about, the stock market crash. I think that's what it was. I'm mixing them up. It was ratified on that day. Okay, the 19th Amendment. Thank you, Nanette. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I say that I think I did. I was thinking about the stock market crash. I think that's what it was. But I will tell you, yes. And they did not want to give the right to vote to women. It was a fight. Let me say that. It was a fight for women to vote. Now we have a female vice president. We still never had a female president. In this country, we have female governors, we have female senators. We've even had a female Speaker of the House, which is the third most powerful office in the country, in the entire country. Because if anything happens to the president, then the vice president moves up, usually the Speaker of the House, that kind of thing. So it's a powerful position. Very, very powerful. Speaker of the House. This is what I noticed, though. A lot of people, when they become Speaker of the House, they turn gray real fast. I think it's just a lot of weight. It's a lot of responsibility. That's what I think. So I would tell you, I'm sharing this with you. Let me go back to the bigger screen on voting. And this looks like what I think it is right now. I'm preaching to the choir. Let me say that now. Many of you already know. Okay, I'm going to read this to you. It says, over time, voting rights became a bipartisan priority as people worked at all levels to enact constitutional amendments and laws expanding access to the vote based on race and ethnicity, gender, disability, age, and other factors. The landmark Voting Rights Act of 1965, passed by Congress, took major steps to curtail voter suppression. This began a new era of push and pull on voting rights, with the voting age reduced to 18 from 21 and the enshrinement of voting protections for language minorities and people with disabilities. Greater voter enfranchisement was met with fresh resistance, and in 2013, the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in its ruling on Shelby County v. Holder, paving the way for states and jurisdictions with a history of voter suppression to enact restrictive voter identification laws. A whopping 23 states create new obstacles to voting in the decade leading up to the 2018 elections, according to the Nonpartisan Coalition Election Protection. Think about what's going on, Laser. This is what I think sometimes. This is me saying this, nobody else. I'm just speaking from my heart, I guess you could say. I think we went to sleep at the wheel. That's what I think. And I'm guilty too. I think we thought that once we got the Voting Rights Act and everything passed, and how it protected voters, we thought that our job was done. And what I'm seeing, and those of you that are probably seeing this too, little by little, they're chipping away, so they no longer, all these rights we worked hard to get are no longer there. If 23 states have already enacted, that's almost 50% of the states have already acted voter suppression, primarily in the South. These are southern states. If you look at it's Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, but they're not the only ones. Georgia, there's just, without a doubt. I mean, it's not. There's no doubt that there are southern states, but those are not the only states that have voter suppression. It says these activities have demonstrably and disproportionately affected on populations that are already underrepresented at the polls. Adding to the problems, Government at all levels has largely failed to make the necessary investments in elections, from technology to poll worker training, and to ensure the integrity and efficiency of the system. The 1700s voting generally limited to white property holders. So now we're going to go through the history of who got to vote and when. And I didn't even, I'm running out of time. I didn't even look at the time. I'm so busy. I may have to do 2 of these because this is really, I know it's a history lesson, and I hope it's not boring to you guys. I hope it's not. Because for me, even that I know a lot of this, I still go over it because it still affects, it's still going on. Okay. And this picture, hold on. This is the oil painting scene of the signing of the Constitution. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. Can you stop? Can you see it if I don't put it up there? Hold on. Okay. This is a 1940 oil painting seen at the signing of the Constitution of the United States by Howard Chandler Christie. Depicts the Constitutional Convention held in 1787 in Philadelphia, where the founding fathers drafted the Constitution. Now, let me put this down. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. I hope you can. Okay. Geraldine, did I say Geraldine? I hope I'm saying your name right, sweetheart. We have fewer voting rights now than our parents had in the last century. We are going back to an American apartheid. Okay, let me just say this, Geraldine. It can only happen if we let it. It can only happen if we let it. The only reason they've gotten this far is because we haven't been there. This is what someone said this, and I don't know who said it. I'm just quoting someone said. They said, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. We're on the menu. That's what it's come down to. And this is from Elaine. Hi, Elaine. Oh, I'm sorry. First of all, I skipped over Nanette. Let me go back to Nanette, and then I'll go to Elaine. Nanette says, this is how, quote unquote, woke came about within and for the Black community. Then woke became bastardized and weaponized by certain pink people. Mary, see your email. Okay, I will, Nanette. And then Elaine says, Mary, thank you for covering this topic. The people that need to hear what not voting really means are not on here today. You're right, Elaine. Each one of us has to speak to everyone about the importance of our vote. And not voting is voting. That's all there is to it. And even though people do all these things, I look back, and I'm just going to say what I saw when Obama ran for president. People went and picked people up and took them to the polls. We wanted to see Obama elected, but I haven't seen that kind of energy to see anyone else. I just haven't seen it. Let me just say that. And this is what I've learned also. Whoever gets elected, are they always going to do the things you want them to do? No. Just know that. It's impossible. Okay, Despite their belief in the virtues of democracy, the founders of the United States accepted and endorsed severe limits on voting. The U.S. Constitution originally left it to states to determine who is qualified to vote in elections. For decades, state legislatures generally restricted voting to white males who own property. Some states also employed religious tests to ensure that only Christian men could vote. Think about that. Now, what does your religion have to do with voting? There's supposed to be a separation of state and religion, or church and state, I should say. That there's church and there's state. There should be a division. 1800s, official barriers to voting started to recede. But as I said before, this is how I look at life, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot point our finger and say anything if you haven't done anything. You can't leave it up to anybody else to do. It's what I think. I think if we want to make a change and see a change, and we need to be the change, is what I think it is. I don't think it's a matter of letting somebody else do it. It's just, no, you have to do it. And hi, Dia. I think that's Dia. Mary, my voter registration was deactivated without notice, and I received no ballot or materials. I am filing a formal inquiry to see if I was the only one affected. Wow, dear, that's big. Wow, wow, wow. It says Art Pool. This was in Riverside County. I have not missed voting in an election for the last 10 years I've been here. That's big. Is that you, Dia? I think it is. Because she's, and I'm just like, what? That's a voter suppression. That's what that is, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm saying this. See, we need, okay, I thought that was you, Dia. Thank you. Wow, that's big. That is big. Can you go to the voter registration and make? You said you put a formal complaint in. Wow, that's I was supposed to go to the voter registration. They were doing what is it? You know, they wanted people to just come and see that they were how they did everything, I guess. But you're the first person I've heard that. But this is the first time I've done anything on voting because I have like 15 minutes left. So I may do another one next week because this is so much information. And like Jerlina said, I mean, oops, sorry about that. We have to be the change, ladies and gentlemen. It's up to us. I'm just going to be honest and tell you. I think we think it's somebody else's problem. It's up to us. That's how I look at life. There is nobody else's problem they can be. There's a new organization. Those of you live in the IE, it's called the Inland Empire Urban Coalition. It's being formed to work on things like this and to actually work together. Because this is what I tell people. This is my, you can quote me on this one. If you go stand on the street corner and you yell and scream, they may lock you up. But if 1,000 people are standing on that street corner that are African American, the news is coming out there to find out what's going on. That's just how it is. So let me go on and go over this one I think you guys see this. It says that 19th century illustration engraved shows Black men recently emancipated from slavery participating in an election in New Orleans. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me go back and see if you can. Let me push it. There we go. There. I think that's a better view. So this is showing that. And you said that's a huge mistake. But what we really need to find out, dear, are you the only one? See, that's the thing. This, like you said, I don't know. I have no way of knowing that. And you would have no way of knowing it. You said yes, but an absentee voter who can't make it over there would not be able to cast their vote. Wow. I know Oliver just left one of the senior citizens and he said that they were setting up. And I thought you could only vote by mail on this election. Evidently, you can still go in and vote. So you may want to look into it. It says, and Nanette said, my daughter had a similar problem while she was attending college 40 miles away. She got that straightened out before the official vote. So yeah, look into that, dear. You have to. You're the first, like I said, you're the first person, but why would anybody, tell me anything like that anyway? But I haven't heard of that. So I would seriously look into that. And then let me give you some more. And I'm actually going through the history on purpose because sometimes we don't know the history. That's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. How did we get here? During the early part of the 19th century, state legislatures began to limit the property requirement for voting. Later, during the Reconstruction period following the Civil War, Congress passed the 15th Amendment to the Constitution, which ensured that people could not be denied the right to vote because of their race. The amendment was ratified by the states in 1870. However, in the decades that followed, many states, particularly in the South, used a range of barriers such as poll taxes and literacy tests to deliberately reduce voting among African American men. And here it is right now, 1920, women win the vote. Go ahead, Nanette, keeping us legal. That's right. Thank you for that. So this 1920, and I'm going to show this picture to you. There's the picture. Let me make that bigger for you. So there's voting yes on women's suffrage, October 19th. Votes for women. Think about it. For the right to vote, the right to vote. And that's why I cannot believe people don't really honor that. Wow. And then Dia says, I will definitely look into it. I've also contacted my county supervisor. Yes, indeed. You can count your what the legislative person in your area, whoever's the at the state level. You can contact them. You can contact your congressman or congresswoman. I contact all of them because that's voter suppression. That's what you're talking about. And I'm curious, like you said, if you voted for 10 years, why would you fall off the rolls now? We got our ballot about, I want to say 2 weeks ago. Now that's it. Contact everybody. You know what? That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I need to. I may send. I'm going to talk to you, dear. I may do an email on this and tell people that this is happening. The emails go out to thousands of people now, and say you lost your vote. They lost your vote. They with some kind of way. We got because one thing I've learned, people open emails based on the subject line. Based on what I put in that subject line, I can always see the difference on how the emails open. When it's a subject line that's like right up, like right now, voting is we're right on top of voting, huge open rate on that. So we'll talk, dear. And I need to put this out here because if it happened to you, it probably happened to other people too. We just don't know about it because remember, Riverside County has I want to say 3 million people in it. But we don't talk to 3 million people. So how will we know that 3 million people? Let's say it happened to 2,000 people. We would have no way of knowing that. No way to know that. But if I send that email out and start seeing and tell people, please respond to this email if you have experienced this. Now we're going to start seeing something. So we need to talk. And then let people know voter suppression is real. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. So we definitely will talk. I will give you a call. And I like Nanette said, contact everybody. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree to contact everybody. So I want you to see this. Remember, the right to vote. Think about this. This was a fight. This was a fight just to have the right to vote for women. That's amazing. This is amazing, and I know it. It's amazing. So that's telling you this. That's why I said what's happening, even with what's going on with you, dear. It says 1960 Southern states ramp up barriers to voting. This was in the 1960s. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me make it bigger. In the 1960s, Southern states ramp up barriers to voting. Well, let me move this out of the way so you can really see this picture. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. And instead of making it easier, they're gonna make it harder. Yeah, I hope you can see that. But there we go. And that's the picture with Martin Luther King, Coretta Scott King. They're both gone. I don't know the man next to him. I don't know their names. I can't tell you. But right over here is John Lewis in the far right. The far left in the white. It looks like a white jacket he has on. That's John Lewis. Now, from what I know he's passed on. Martin Luther King's passed on right here, and Coretta Scott King has passed on. I don't know the names of everyone else that's in the front here. But I will tell you, literally, they were giving their lives even as they were walking in. And it says, Nanette said, the local council people, state legislatures, and federal legislators need your vote, which is why I said everyone. It actually worked for me on something far less of a problem. Thank you, Nanette. She said, I contact everybody. I know that's right, Nanette. And then here's our executive producer, Oliver. He said, hi, and welcome to the show. Thanks to everyone who took time to participate and give your input. Thank you, Oliver. Because this is really, just hearing you say that, it's like, wow. I know it's important, but what you've done is really confirmed that it is not only important. Now, we're not, and I don't want to sound like this is only happening to African Americans. I have no idea. But what she just showed is happening. That's all. It's happening. Her name is not, she did not receive a ballot. Now, I could see if you showed up on a list and you had passed on. That's another thing about ballots. They go through the list of people that pass, and they no longer send them a ballot. You're not on that list. So there's no reason for you not to get a ballot. That's what is going on now. That's what we have to really pay attention to. And that's what I'm trying to really stress. There's no reason for that to happen. And let me go over this. Okay. Now, and this says, and I see we ran out of time, but the struggle for equal voting rights came to a head in the 1960s. As many states, particularly in the South, dug in on policies such as literacy tests, poll tax, English language requirements, and more, aiming at suppressing the vote among people of color, immigrants, and low-income populations. In March of 1965, activists organized protest marches through Selma, Alabama, to the state capital of Montgomery to spotlight the issues of Black voter rights. The first march was brutally attacked by police and others on a day that came to be known as Bloody Sunday. After a second march was cut short, a throng of thousands finally made the journey, arriving in Montgomery on March 24th and drawing nationwide attention to the issue. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said before, knowing that people gave their lives so I could vote, just knowing that is all I didn't have to know anything else. I know that they gave their life so that they didn't know me, but I should not have to give my life to vote. That's really why they did it. And it says, Dia, she said, you can still vote. Tomorrow is the deadline for voting on 3/5/24. You must go to the Riverside County Register of Voters at Gateway and fight for your right. And Dia, you said, the fact that it happened without notice and without explanation is alarming. Yes, Dia. That's why I'm so glad we did this show, because had I not done it, I would have never known this happened to you. But I really want to send something out tonight and let people know that this happened. And if it happened to you, it can happen to other people too. Yes. It's not something, this is not a one time. I'm pretty sure you're not the only person this happened to. I can almost guarantee that. But if it happened to you, it's somebody else too. I will be there bright and early with my formal letter requesting an investigation. You might want to go today. I think they're open. I'm pretty sure. If you can, I don't know what your schedule is like, but I would go today, because you have to cast a vote by tomorrow. And I think with the ballots, they have to be postmarked by tomorrow. So, and tomorrow is the voting day. I wouldn't go the day of, because I know it's going to be crazy. Yeah, on that day, I would definitely go. I would go today. I'm going to be honest with you, dear. I go today. I wouldn't wait till tomorrow. If you can, I don't know if you're scheduled. They usually they open until, I think they open until 4:30. I don't think they open until 5. But yeah, I would definitely go today. But I want to tell all of you, and thank you, all of you, for your input. And thank you, dear, for coming on the show and sharing that. And I want to do something to let people know. I would go. I wouldn't go the day of. Yeah, because then they're going to try and tell you. They may say, well, no, we can't do it today. We're too busy. Some kind of something. You never know what people are going to come up with. But I would go today. And I would contact those legislators too. I would send those emails out. You can go to their websites and put your complaint in, everything. Because they understand voter suppression. And as what was that, Nanette, that you say, they need your vote. Or it was that Geraldine? Or then one of you guys said, they said they do. All levels need your vote. I don't care if it's for the county supervisor, if it's for the city council. I don't care what it's for. They need your vote. You are a voter in their area. In our ward, what ward am I in? Ward 2. I had to learn. I mean, I was sitting there. I actually go to the city council meetings. I didn't used to go. But I just try to commit myself to go. And I say that because they can be kind of boring, to be honest with you. because they're slow and all those kind of things. But I am my husband. We're taxpayers. We pay that. The money that they're distributing is our money, just like there's anybody else's money. So I've come to realize sometimes I basically am sacrificing to go to these meetings and sit and listen. I haven't been to the supervisors meeting. That's the next on the list. The supervisor. Right now, I go to Riverside County, city, uh, the city meetings down at the county boardroom. I can tell you right now, I am normally the only African American in there. I'm it. I sit there and I know they know my name because I'm sitting there and they know, it's like this is I'm trying to make myself present, but I'm only one person in the community. It would be nice if other people in the community they have two meetings, an afternoon and an evening. But if other people would like to come and just be with me and we sit there and listen to find out what's going on. And I'm over time. Sometimes the system will cut off, but it didn't today. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you next week. I think we're going to stay on this for at least a couple of weeks because this is important. And especially now that we know that Dia has truly been affected by this. But God bless each and every one of you. I'll see you in a week. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And everybody, take care. Bye, everybody.